All right, let's talk about accent walls. Are you looking to dress up a space in your house? We have the show for you. We're going to break that down right now. The Educated Homeowner, Know Your Home Like a Pro, brought to you by A New Day Construction, where every day is a new day. So I have Selena here today, Selena Camp. Let me get that right.
Yes,
so,
you did.
Met her, I don't know, a few months back, and was just blown away by her work. Actually, one of our, I think Karen, one of our painters.
Yes, I met her in Home Depot.
You got to see this. She was so excited. She said, "You got to see this. You got to see this lady's work." And sure enough, blew me away. So you do accent walls.
Yes.
And so we get to showcase some of those, talk about how you do it. But before we get started with that, tell us who you are, how you got started, and I see your information here and how people get in touch with you.
Yeah, so my name is Selena, and I do custom accent walls, and I'll explain that a little bit further because most people I tell I do accent walls, and then they're like, okay, what is that? What does that mean?
Yeah.
Most people don't know what that is. But basically, I'm a carpenter by trade. I do a lot of woodworking and like trim work. If you've ever seen like in a dining room before, kind of like where there's a chair rail and some trim along the bottom, I do stuff kind of similar to that, but on a little bit more artsy scale, I guess, with bringing pretty wood tones and wood textures, and I do wallpaper, just really anything, just kind of from an interior design perspective, just to kind of make a house more feel like home, make it a part of you and decorate it and make it look really pretty. So, yeah.
So wallpaper, do you also do that too?
I do wallpaper too, yeah.
What about some of the faux painting? Do you do that?
I do, like lime wash, Roman clay. I haven't done Venetian plaster yet, but I want to get into that. But mostly, lime wash and Roman clay, I think, is about to be pretty big.
So how did you get into this business? Because it's very unique. When you come, it was like a lady doing accent walls. What is that about?
Yeah, it's weird. So I'll try and give you the short version. So I come from a very hands-on background. I used to actually work in a shop on a material called Kydex, but I've always been very hands-on. I like working with my hands. I like being in a shop. I like working with tools. Ever since I was little, I was just a tomboy. But so I started. I would go hunting with my dad and whatnot. But I've always been hands-on, and I was just had a love for building and creating things, and actually started when I had my son building furniture, just because I didn't have a job at the time. I had a newborn at home, and I wanted furniture for my own home, but like it was expensive, and I wasn't trying to break the bank. So I just started building furniture when everybody was breaking down pallets and making that farmhouse rustic furniture.
Okay.
Yeah. So I started doing that, and I was actually in the lumber yard one day when this guy came up to me and was looking for some kind of fancy design for a restaurant above like the top of his restaurant, and I knew that I could do it, and so I was like, yeah, sure, and I gave it a shot and built him, and actually I think it's on the slide, so we'll show you. But so I completed the wall for him, and actually the guy next door to this restaurant owned a bar and had seen on Pinterest and like this geometric, I'll show you on here as well.
Go ahead and show us
this geometric accent.
Let's go ahead and bring some up.
Yeah, so something very similar like this he wanted in his bar next door, and had just got my contact information from the guy that I had met in the lumber yard saying that he wanted this accent in his restaurant. And it was weird because it just organically all came together. I started doing accent walls, and I was like, okay, this is a lot easier than building furniture. I could knock out a wall in a day or 2 days versus, working on a piece of furniture for weeks at a time. And I loved it because I loved, incorporating interior design, but also I got the hands-on aspect of being able to work with tools and stuff.
That's cool. That you had the house too.
It did, yeah.
It's out there in the other people's houses and stuff like that. This is cool. So did you design this also?
Yes, yeah.
So what is, I understand these are, I guess, explain this for us. I'm gonna act like I don't know what I'm talking about.
Okay.
I want to pick your brain.
So basically, for this client, they came to me and said that they didn't have any built-ins or anything over here, but they knew that they wanted something. They needed something on either side of the fireplace to kind of give it a more homey, inviting environment. And so I had done a mock-up, and so basically I just had him send me a picture of this with, obviously the accent wall wasn't there yet, and so I just kind of did like a mock-up with some, geometric designs and said I can create this for you out of wood. And he agreed to it, and so basically I come in and I'll paint the wall first, and I go ahead and spray and prep all these boards. So these trim pieces that you can kind of see here that give you the geometric style, those are primed and sanded, so they're nice pine wood trim pieces that will be sanded, primed, and then painted to whatever color the client wants. So I'll come in, paint the wall, and then I put up the trim pieces here to match, and I come back and caulk around it and finish everything up and paint it all to give it this really nice finished look.
It's really cool. So how long does a typical project like this take?
I can usually knock something out like this. I like to start about 9:30 and I'll be done by 5, if not sooner.
No way.
Yeah.
Complete, painted, everything.
Everything's done. Yeah, that's why I actually spray the boards ahead of time, because it makes it really easy. I've seen actually my first job at the bar that I was telling you about. Didn't have an idea or a good process yet, and I actually just went. It was a bare wall, and I came and put the trim up, and then I actually had to go and with a paintbrush and cut in every one of these little areas and paint it. I'm like, okay, I think that job took me like 2 or 3 days, and I was like, how can I fine tune this process to make it pretty easy? So I actually just decided that it would be easier to spray the boards ahead of time. So I lay them out in my shop, and I just have a sprayer, and I'll go and spray them, the final color. And then it just makes it real easy, because I'll have just to paint the wall, put the boards up there that are already painted, and then come back and kind of sand all the nail holes and caulk around everything.
You pre-cut everything before you show up too?
I don't pre-cut everything, because that's come to bite me in the butt later. Yes. But it's just really easy, and I think it helps a lot of times, because when I'm in there in the actual room, and I, if I have an idea that's like, this looks better, then it just makes it easier. I think pre-cut is a little bit harder.
So how do you get way up there?
Scaffolding.
Okay.
Scaffolding. I'm not afraid of heights, thankfully.
I am.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that would be the job for you. Yeah, I've had some.
I'd be like, I'll hand you stuff.
I've had some pretty interesting, scaffolding jobs, but.
All right, so this is real deep. What is this made out of? It looks deep. I don't know.
Yeah, it's actually the same wood, the same size as this one here too. I don't know if just the shadows of the lighting there, but I think those are either 1x4s. I think. So
you'll come in and help. Somebody comes in with a blank wall, says, I have no idea. You'll help them look around their house and kind of get.
Yeah. So sometimes I have a client that will come to me, and they know exactly what they want. They've seen an image on Pinterest or something. They're just like, I want to recreate this in my home. Those are the pretty easy ones. But then sometimes I have a client that says, they'll come to me with a bunch, and they're like, I'm not sure what I want to do, what will look best here. Right. I can either set up a consultation with the client, and I can come over and get measurements, and I can kind of show them some of my work and some ideas and recommend, what would look good for their space and what would be the most modern and I guess in line with their already design style that they like. If they want a consultation, I do that, and that kind of helps give them the vision, and then I'll either play around with it, and if they want to do some kind of mock-up or something, I'll see what I can provide for them visually, so that they can decide, whether it's something that they want in their home or not.
That makes sense. Now, I ask you a big question. You may not want to answer this one, but on average, how much does something like that cost?
Something like this is a little bit more expensive, because it's a little bit more, with scaffolding, it's a little bit more expensive, a little bit more complicated, a little bit more, tedious, having to get up and down the scaffolding. I would say some of the nicer, more elaborate jobs for a fireplace that I've done are close to $3,000.
Okay, all right. That's not bad though.
It's really not too bad. It really just depends on, so when pricing, it comes down to the size of the wall, the complexity of the design, and then usually where the actual client is located as well too plays a part.
Wow. Professional. All right, let's see some more. More fireplaces. I love that accent wall there.
Yeah, this one was actually in a shed. It was it was a man cave. It was a he shed, the she shed, but a he shed. Yeah, it was his little hangout gaming area that he wanted something done on.
So he didn't have a man cave, he had a he shed.
He had a he shed, yeah.
All right, and you do staircases?
I do lots of stairwells, yes. Yep.
Love that. Do you don't do any hidden walls or hidden?
I haven't yet, but I would be open to it. That would be kind of cool.
Some of the like under stairs when you have the hidden doors, or dog doors, or whatever.
Yep.
So is this like a shiplap? What is that?
This is actually the same. I think these are 1x6s, and I just spaced them out each evenly. I think I did like a 3/4 spacer block in here, and just
space them out.
Yeah, space them out and give them a little something for their stairwell.
Looks good. Okay.
These are my favorite lately. These slat walls and the stairwells.
Yes. Now, do you make those? I know that you can buy them pre-made, but do you actually make those?
I actually make them, and I'm still kind of toying with the idea because the actual panels that you can buy are composite material, and they just have a wood veneer over them.
Right.
And then they're on felt. So it depends. Like if I've had a client that came to me actually. He was he played guitar and he wanted some kind of sound dampening for his music room.
Right.
In that case, I was like, we should do the panels because they're technically for, I think it's ACU panels,
Right. Yep.
acoustic panels or something. So it helps with sound dampening. For that one, I thought that was, the best route to go there, just because it would kind of actually serve more of a purpose other than just the aesthetics of the design.
So those are individual strips.
But these are individual strips that, yes, I did put up each one of these individually. And I just prefer that just because it's authentic wood, and it looks very like elaborate, and just like that wow factor of walking up the stairs, or it's very grand.
Right.
Yeah.
I haven't had it done at my house. I do love that. That's why I was asking you more questions about it. How long did it take you to do that?
This one was still a day.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I had someone actually help me on this one, but it was still a day. So what I do...
I'm sorry, I'm laughing because it took 2 guys, and on each side of my TV is 2 probably 8-foot sections, 9 foot high.
Yeah.
Every bit of almost a week.
That's crazy.
Yeah, cutting, staining,
Wow.
painting. I'm like,
wow.
Okay, all right, go ahead.
Yeah. See, that's what same thing here. Like these are stained, but what I do is I go ahead and I purchase the materials in a week in advance, and usually I prep everything the Monday before. So like, let's say you wanted to do something in your living room, or let's just go with the stairwell example. So you want to do this in your stairwell. So I would, you reach out to me, and then the Monday before your install, I have you scheduled, let's say Tuesday the 8th or something. I would get out in touch with you on Monday, and I would confirm the stain color, make sure everything's good, and I would go ahead and prep everything that Monday, so that when I show up on Tuesday, I'll paint the wall in between, so in between each of these slats is actually the sheetrock.
Right.
So like this person I think did iron ore, which is kind of a similar color to here.
Okay.
Behind it. So I go ahead and I paint the wall, and then I already have the slats that are stained and prepped and ready, sanded, ready to go.
Paint dry, you're putting it up.
Yep. And usually by the time I get to this side of the wall, or if I'm doing this in 2 parts, if I painted the lower portion of the wall, this part's dry by the time I'm wrapping up the other half.
Right,
the paint dries quickly, so it's very seamless.
Are they glued on, nailed on? Both?
I think gluing's overkill. And I really like, because a lot of times, with the different textures, or not textures, temperatures in a home, the wood can expand and contract.
Okay.
So without gluing that, I feel like it gives it it's able to move without, messing the aesthetics of the wall up at all.
Now, do you handle any of the electrical part? Like I know there's a light here and in the middle of this one.
Not usually, but I do have an electrician. Sometimes if I need to, I'll plan for that ahead of time. If I talk to the client, they're like, well, we want to move this electrical outlet. We don't want that to be obviously in the middle of our accent wall on the stairwell. We never use it anyway. Then, I'll have that done ahead of time.
Okay.
But,
so you can do that. That's good stuff.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. All right. See what else we got here. So this is like a little mudroom area, or both of them are.
Yep, both of these are mudroom. This was actually in my own personal home. This one was one of the first accent walls that I did too. Yep.
I love it. What you just sold, I believe, or something. You just got a new house.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
And it's funny too. It's actually not far from here.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, good. All right, what else do we have? Oh, let me go back to you do the cabinetry also?
I didn't for this. I didn't for this job, but actually I am getting farther into doing custom built-ins. So that's another avenue that I'm working on. And I've actually just completed. I wish I would have sent you guys a picture of that one. Just did this really big, elaborate, full built-in office wall for a client, which turned out really good. Yeah, I've done a couple accent walls for them too. But so we can do the built-ins.
Okay.
Now, but this one I actually did not. This was kind of one of the newer accent walls that I did years ago.
I love it. Okay. Bedrooms.
Yep.
So accent walls, bedrooms.
Yep.
So so if you wanted that, so we talked about fireplaces. So an accent wall for a bedroom like that, what would something like that typically run?
That's a little bit cheaper. It's usually between $1,000 and $2,000.
Okay.
Depends on the size of the wall and the design, but it's not.
Not bad at all.
Yeah, it's not too bad.
Awesome. I like the squares for some reason. I don't.
I do too. And I almost, for this client, obviously it's a nursery, but she was so very retro. Her design style was very retro, and I almost was like, we should paint the inside of these a darker green to give it like a checkerboard look.
Right.
was very cool. She actually, she was going to have me come back. She had something personal going on, but she was going to have me come back and paint the inside of the squares so that it would look like a checkerboard. I still really want to do it.
Yeah, it's probably really, really well.
Yeah, it's different.
All right. Now, these are when they're doing these. Is that what we're calling judges paneling when we're going up so high?
Honestly,
I know there's so many different terms.
Yeah, honestly, it's such a new thing. People doing accent walls because like I said, nobody knows. Like when I say I do accent walls for a living, they're like, "Well, what is that?" Yeah. There's really not any good terminology for it yet.
Right.
Yeah, like I have a lot of times, like I call this board and batten, but I've had clients and people come to me that call it judges panels. Right. So it's we really have to like. Send me an inspirational picture of exactly what you want because a lot of people they'll say judges panel but they mean like my version of what wainscoting is.
Yeah, and they say wainscoting on this too.
Yeah.
It's not, but
we got to fine tune the terminology.
There's so much out there now.
There is.
Shiplap you can't. It's hard to name everything.
Yeah, and most people don't know the actual terminology for it because they're not in the industry.
Well, who's the person that gets to name it? Who's that person that says I'm going to name
I guess
this
I'm going to have to.
I'll
do it. I'll do it.
You're going to take that up?
Yeah, I'll do it.
All right, we'll start a trend.
Yeah.
I love it.
So this is geometric.
Okay.
That is really, I do call that wall geometric. And then, of course, everybody knows shiplap.
That is shiplap, though.
Joanna Gaines and what's his name?
Yeah.
Chip and Joanna Gaines. Yeah, the whole farmhouse fat. Everybody did shiplap.
Is farmhouse heading out?
Oh yes. Okay. I'm happy. I'm sorry. If anybody loves farmhouse, that's great. You do you in your own home. But yeah, I think farmhouse is slowly fading. It's more modern now.
More modern now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't do quite as many shiplap jobs ever. Hardly.
Yeah, we just had a customer. He's like, I don't do shiplap on my fireplace. It's out.
Everybody's doing shiplap. Yeah, I think it's kind of slowly fading.
Yep. It's hard to keep up.
Yeah.
This is one of your older styles. It's still in though.
It is. This is actually still my favorite next to the slat walls. I love the look of. I think it's very timeless. Yeah. Like something a little bit more geometric or something like this is not. It's more kind of trendy and fun. But I think this, if you're looking for something that's timeless and very like classic and elegant, I think this is what I call wainscoting.
Yep.
Box panels, wainscoting. I think that's more in line.
Love it. I love it. Cool.
You can't go wrong with wainscoting.
Now, the painting, I see that you mostly use the matte finishes or flats.
I do. Well, it really depends on the color because a lot of times the darker color, the more you'll see any kind of touch-ups or roller marks or anything. So the darker the color and then the higher the sheen, you're more likely to see any kind of touch-ups and it gets a little bit more complicated.
So darker colors, you want to go with a low sheen or no sheen?
Yes. Low sheen or matte finish for darker colors. I typically always like to go with a matte finish because it gives it a crisp look, but I do have, it's one of my favorite paint brands it's actually Home Depot. Behr has a line that's a scuff defense. Mm-hmm. So even though it's a matte finish, it still has an extra layer of durability for scuff marks and being able to wipe stuff off the walls. Because a lot of times, I don't know how much you know about paint, but like the more protection you want, the higher sheen you get. So a lot of people are hesitant for something matte because they have dogs that will slobber on the wall or children and their handprints and everything.
We always fight that battle because they want to go, I want to go satin. I'd talk somebody out of they want to go semi-gloss in their walls. I said, no, you don't want to do that.
Yeah, it's so shiny. Right. I love the good, clean, crisp look of a matte wall, and that's what I usually try to steer my clients towards. Obviously, if it's in a bathroom or a kitchen or somewhere where there's going to be water, or if it's down a hallway, I'll say, we should probably go with something with a little bit more protection, more sheen.
I love it. All right. Same.
More geometric walls. Yep. Dark and moody.
How many? If you had to guess, how many?
I was looking at that the other day because I think I've had the same invoicing system since I started, and I think I'm close to doing 300 walls now. 300 walls.
And how long have you been in business?
Doing just accent walls. I think. I think probably 3 years. So I was just thinking 100 walls a year. That's crazy.
That's like 3 walls. That'd be one wall every 3 days.
Yeah.
Roughly.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Now, how can they get in touch with you? Flip that back up there.
Yeah, I can. I have my phone number is my main point of contact, but I have my website as well.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Now, if they want to find you on Facebook.
Yep, I'm on Facebook too. Facebook, Instagram. I'm even on TikTok. I haven't posted there recently, but I have all the social media platforms. But this is probably, if you want to get get in touch with me fastest, probably my number.
And your
email as
website
well.
is?
Down to Earth. It's actually Woodworks, downtoearthwoodworks.com.
Downtoearthwoodworks.com.
Yes.
And that's where they're going to see the whole showcase.
Yep, that's where they can see my gallery and everything there, like the images we've just shown here. So.
Well, thank you. Hey guys,
Yeah.
I hope you enjoyed this. Please reach out to her. She's a wealth of knowledge and can really transform your home. It's amazing what one wall will do in your house.
It does a lot. It says a lot more than pictures on a wall.
Yes,
It
yes.
transforms a space.
It does.
So
Totally
in the best way.
Yeah. So yeah, thank you again for coming on.
Yeah,
If you
thanks for
guys
having
have any
me.
comments below, if you like what you saw, please let us know. The more comments we get, the more notifications, stuff like that, the more people see this, the more it helps bring awareness
Yes.
to what we have going on. So
Yeah.
again, thank you so much. Somewhere around this video, there's a link to get the 50% off Sherwin-Williams paint. So that's our discount. There's a discount code there. So take advantage of that, especially if you're looking at doing an accent wall and you want to save money on paint. Of course, you use Behr paint. We can't do that. So.
Yeah, sorry. I think Sherwin-Williams does have a similar paint like that too, though.
I think
haven't used
they
them,
all
but-
have their own same thing. But yeah, take advantage of that. And next week, I think we're going to bring on sewer. We're talking about septic systems, what to look for, what to watch out for. So stay tuned for that, and we will see you next week.